Alabama has a reputation for being the heart of Southern hospitality. A place of sweet tea on front porches, Friday night football under the lights, and small towns where everybody knows your name. But here's the thing about that reputation. It is built on the parts of Alabama that want to be seen. There is another Alabama, towns scattered across this state where terrible things happened, where unexplained phenomena have persisted for over a century, where entire populations vanished almost overnight, where the land itself holds memories that refuse to fade. Places where locals do not just shrug when you ask about visiting, they actively warn you away. Before we get into this, I need to be clear about something. Some of the places on this list are creepy in a fun Halloween kind of way. Ghost lights, abandoned buildings, supernatural legends. Others are sites of genuine historical tragedy involving real communities and real ongoing struggles. With that said, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you do not miss our next video. Now, let us start with a place that was once the most important town in Alabama and is now home to nothing but ghosts. Old Cahawba in Dallas County, about 15 miles southwest of Selma, population 0. This was Alabama's first state capital, carved out of the wilderness in 1819. At its peak, around 3,000 people called it home. The town sat at the confluence of the Alabama and Cahawba rivers. Cotton money flowed through these streets. By 1860, Dallas County was the fourth wealthiest county per capita in the entire United States. Then came the Civil War. Then came the floods. Then came abandonment. By 1870, only 300 souls remained. By the turn of the century, most buildings had been lost to fire, decay, or dismantlement. What you find today are scattered ruins, crumbling columns wrapped in vines, cemetery headstones tilting at odd angles, the outline of streets that once bustled with commerce. The Alabama Historical Commission runs the site now, and they offer official ghost tours for good reason. Visitors and staff have reported disembodied voices echoing through the trees, the sounds of children laughing when no children are present. The most frequently cited apparition is a spectral woman seen walking between the cemetery and the nearby church ruins. Over and over again, always walking, never arriving. Standing among those ruins at dusk, watching fog roll off the rivers, you understand why people see things here. A town this wealthy, this important, does not simply cease to exist without leaving something behind. Bellefonte in Jackson County, near Scottsboro in northeast Alabama. This was the Jackson County seat from 1821 to 1859. A proper town with a courthouse, a jail, a church, an inn, and a post office. Families built lives here. Children were born here. Then the Civil War came through and left destruction in its wake. Unlike other towns, Bellefonte never recovered. It was completely abandoned by the 1920s. What remains today will make your skin crawl. Just the cemetery and a single tall chimney from the old inn. That chimney stands alone, overgrown with vines, reaching up from the earth like a finger pointing at the sky. The graves outnumber any trace of the living by hundreds to one. The years of neglect have brought an unsettling feeling to this place. Some visitors describe a presence watching them from the tree line. Others report their cameras malfunctioning only within the cemetery boundaries. The town is gone, but something lingers here among the headstones and that solitary chimney. Spectre on Jackson Lake Island near Millbrook. Population 0. This one is different because Spectre was never a real town. It was built in 2003 as a film set for Tim Burton's movie Big Fish, a complete fictional main street constructed on the banks of the Alabama River. After filming ended, the property owners told Burton to leave the buildings standing rather than bulldoze them. That decision created something genuinely strange. These buildings were only shells, facades built for cameras and never meant to last. Now Spanish moss drapes from sagging roof lines, and the structures are crumbling into the earth. A fire swept through and destroyed the commercial district entirely. houses flood regularly, goats roam freely through what remains. About 12,000 people visit this island every year to walk through a fake town that has become a real ruin. Shoes still hang from wires at the entrance, a tradition from the film that visitors have continued for over 2 decades. Watching a place designed for fantasy decay into something genuinely eerie creates a feeling that is hard to describe. You know it was never real, but standing there among the rotting boards and Spanish moss, that knowledge does not help. Newton in Dale County, southeast Alabama, along the Choctawhatchee River. Population around 1,500. This small town is home to one of Alabama's most famous ghost stories. The tale of Sketoe's Hole. On December 3, 1864, in the desperate final days of the Confederacy, a Methodist minister named William Sketoe was dragged from his home. He had been accused of desertion, though historical evidence suggests he was actually helping Union sympathizers in the area. A mob decided his fate would be the noose. They hanged him from a water oak by the river, but there was a problem. Sketoe was a tall man and his feet touched the ground, so the soldiers dug a shallow hole beneath his feet to let him hang properly. What happened next has never been explained. For 125 years, that hole reportedly remained visible no matter how many times people tried to fill it. Townspeople dumped dirt, rocks, and debris into the depression. By morning, the hole had returned to its original dimensions. Some say Sketoe's ghost swept it clean every night. Others claim loyal friends maintained it secretly as a memorial. The phenomenon continued until 1990, when tons of rock were deposited during bridge construction. Only then did the hole finally stay filled. A memorial stands there now. The gravesite is fenced to protect it from ghost hunters. But locals still speak of the minister who proclaimed his innocence from the gallows and left a mark on the earth that refused to disappear for over a century. Arcola in Hale County sits along the Black Warrior River. The population is 0. This French settlement from the 1820s once thrived on river commerce and the cotton trade. American settlers arrived, and later the railroad bypassed the town entirely. The reasons for abandonment are mundane, but the results are anything but. What remains looks like a scene from a horror film. Gnarled branches reach across what were once streets. Among the overgrowth stands the infamous Alfred Hatch Place, known locally as the Half House. This plantation was constructed in 1855 and belonged to a figure with what locals call a shadowy history. The structure was never completed, adding to its unsettling appearance. Windows stare out from walls that simply end, rooms open to nothing. If you visit Arcola today, you visit alone. There are no services, no help if something goes wrong, no one to hear you call out. Just the ruins, the river, and the trees that have been slowly swallowing this place for a century. Selma in Dallas County, 50 miles west of Montgomery along the Alabama River. Population around 17,000, down from over 28,000 at its peak. This is not a ghost town. People live here, but Selma is haunted by more than spirits. The statistics tell one story. Selma has lost a third of its population since the 1960s. The poverty rate sits at 37%. For most of the last decade, Selma had the highest rate of population loss in the entire state. You can see it in the vacant storefronts downtown, the abandoned homes with collapsing porches, and the pothole-covered streets that wind past architectural gems slowly falling into disrepair. But there is another layer here. During the Civil War, Selma served as a Confederate naval munitions center. Antebellum houses fill the historic district, creaking and shifting, giving rise to countless ghost stories. Locals say ghost stories are as common in Selma as street corners. The St. James Hotel, built in 1837, is considered one of the most haunted places in Alabama. Guests report encounters with the ghost of outlaw Jesse James, who stayed here, along with his mistress Lucinda, who is said to roam the upper floors. At Sturtevant Hall, visitors report the spirit of John Parkman, a banker who died under mysterious circumstances. The living struggle with economic decline while the dead reportedly refuse to leave. That combination creates an atmosphere unlike anywhere else in the American South. Bear Creek Swamp near Prattville in Autauga County. Swamps are usually creepy at the best of times. Shallow, dark water, thick, concealing stands of trees, sounds you cannot identify coming from directions you cannot determine. But Bear Creek Swamp has earned a special reputation. The phenomena reported here include phantom car lights that appear and disappear on the dirt road alongside the marshland. Strange orbs float above the water. Most disturbing is the sighting of a 4-foot-tall apparition that appears directly in front of vehicles. The legend says this is the ghost of a mother searching for her lost child. Local teenagers dare each other to say the words, "We have your baby," 3 times to summon her attack. But the genuinely strange discovery came when someone found 21 porcelain dolls mounted on stakes protruding from the swamp water. No one has explained who put them there or why. Few people in the area relish driving through after dark. Those who do report the feeling of being watched from the tree line. Something about this swamp does not want visitors. Sloss Furnaces in Birmingham. This is not a small town, but a specific location that has earned its place on this list through sheer documented horror. The furnaces operated from 1882 to 1971, producing pig iron that helped build America. The cost was paid in human lives. Working conditions were brutal beyond imagination. 12-hour shifts in temperatures exceeding 120 degrees during summer. No breaks. Poisonous gases. Deplorable housing for workers who had no other options. In the first 15 years after opening, 47 workers died on site. During the reign of Foreman James Wormwood, known as Slag, the death rate was 10 times higher than any other shift in the furnace's history. An explosion in 1888 left 6 workers burned blind. 1 painter was found boiled to death in a water tank. The legend says workers eventually pushed Slag into the molten iron. His body would have melted instantly. Whether that story is true, the hauntings are documented fact. Over 100 reports of suspected paranormal activity appear in Birmingham police records. Night watchmen have been attacked by unseen forces. Workers have been pushed from behind when no one was there. A voice has been heard screaming, "Get back to work." Activity peaks in September and October, during what would have been the old graveyard shift hours. The Boyington Oak in Mobile, Church Street Cemetery. This haunted location is not a building, but a tree. In 1835, a printer and gambler named Charles Boyington was executed for the murder of his friend Nathaniel Frost. Standing on the gallows, Boyington made a declaration. He proclaimed that a tree would grow from his grave as proof of his innocence. He was buried in the Potter's Field adjacent to the cemetery. A southern live oak now stands exactly where his body was placed in the ground. The tree has been there for nearly 200 years. Boyington's spirit has reportedly been seen sitting beneath its branches. It is a botanical proclamation of innocence that has outlasted everyone who witnessed his execution. Coincidence or something more? The tree stands there still, letting you decide for yourself. The Drish House in Tuscaloosa is widely known as the most haunted place in Alabama. The house was built in the 1830s on a 450-acre plantation by Dr. John Drish. The doctor loved gambling and drinking. In 1867, he fell down a stairway while drunk and died from his injuries. His wife Sarah became obsessed with the funeral arrangements. She kept the candles that had burned during his service and demanded they be used at her own funeral when the time came. Sarah died in 1884. Her family searched the house endlessly but could not find the candles anywhere. This is said to have angered Sarah so much that she returned from beyond the grave. Witnesses have reported seeing mysterious lights flickering in the 3rd-story tower, and the house once caught fire there. Locals believe Sarah lit those candles herself. So there you have it. 10 places across Alabama where something terrible happened, where something unexplained persists, where the land itself holds memories that refuse to fade. From state capitals reduced to ruins to industrial nightmares documented by police. to trees that grow from the graves of the wrongfully executed. If you liked this video, please subscribe and be sure to watch the next video appearing on the screen now.